It's DUG24. 24 hours, 24 sessions, 24 speakers, 100% Microsoft Dynamics. It's unparalleled, unprecedented, and undeniable fun with your hosts Beau and Bobby Small. Let's get into it with another episode of DUG24.
Bring it, baby.
All right, I'm telling you, I'm pumped. It's 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm on caffeine. I'm on a little caffeine, a little Coke, and not the real good Coke, the white stuff. You know what I mean? I'm pumped here, man. We're going BC overload here. So
we scheduled this perfectly.
We did. We need somebody at the right before midnight where the fireworks go off and we start singing Old Lang Syne or something. Let me share my screen, and I'll move things around here so I can obviously make this good. So let me move this over to the side over here. And I've got my PowerPoint up, but let me start the slideshow, guys. And I'm going to do a little slides and then a little demo. So I kind of do a little bit of both. Let me make sure. Is everybody seeing the full slide? I hope they're seeing the full slide.
You got it.
Got a thumbs up from Bobby. Perfect. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to talk about AI in Business Central for Dummies. And I'm actually putting myself in that category, but at the same time, I'm doing that a little humorously. But this is really your chance to learn. I know there's been a lot of AI sessions today, but this is really taking everything and culminating it into kind of a little bit of education, a little bit of show and tell. And I want you to leave here and I want you to go back to work and I want you to kick the tires and start using AI in Business Central where you can. So let's begin. This is a little bit about me. At least you're gonna, understand who's talking here. And effectively, I'm gonna take myself off camera only because I want you to really watch the slides. So let me just turn my camera off for just a second. Move that around here. You don't really need to see my face. You just really should be looking at the slides and then the demo. But I'm a Microsoft MVP. I'm a VP of our Dynamics practice at a company called L&L Consulting. A couple of accolades to the communities over the last 28 years doing this. If you need to get a hold of me to talk about anything BC, please, there's no obligations. Call me. I'm here to help. I'm here to do anything you need to make your life easier in the Business Central space. So find me, email me, call me on my cell phone, and find me on YouTube at BC3 Amigos, where we talk a lot about BC. Enough about me. Let's really learn about AI. So let's kind of move forward here. And let's go to that. So how many of you haven't heard of AI? Again, raise your hand. I'm watching the screens here. How many people basically don't know anything about AI? I know there's one of you. You're going to be shy. I get it today. So even me, I'm going to have to raise my hand. I don't know anything about AI, but I'm only kidding. All right. I know there's somebody out there. Thank you for raising your hand, Mr. Picture Man. How many of you have heard of AI this time? Come on, raise your hand. You've got to have people out there. I know you are. Raise your hand. Click the little raise the hand symbol or react symbol. There you go. We've got a good handful. All right, with that said, now let's really get into the education. Who can tell me, and again, unmute yourself if you want to, what is AI? What is AI to anybody? I mean, everybody's got their own private definition, but somebody just unmute yourself and yell something out, or throw it in the chat if you want to. You can just throw it in there as well. You don't have to. Just unmute yourself and just say what it is. Go ahead.
The Terminator.
The Terminator. I got the Terminator. What else? Magic, a tool, collaborator. I mean, look at all this. It means so many things to different people. Sanger, danger. Okay, that's a better word than sanger. But I know typing is typing in error is allowed. Doctor.
Is AI Alabama? Is that what I hear?
Yeah, AI Alabama and a doctor to some people. Yeah, it does give you drugs, by the way, special kinds, by the way. So with that said, let's keep the conversation rolling here. So these are the formal definitions. This is my way of putting a formal definition out there of what artificial intelligence is and how it works inside of a computer. basically a system that's out there that we all use day in and day out, which is Business Central. So in its infinite wisdom, it is basically taking, in my opinion, various human, it's trying to think like a human, act like a human, taste like a human, and perform very cognitive actions basically that a human would do on a day-to-day basis. It's taking various things and trying to extrapolate information to make it much more easier so you don't have to do things anymore in a very lengthy fashion. I mean, everybody yells out, oh, use AI for this. It takes, 5 minutes versus it took me 35 minutes to do something. Or basically it's taking all of its knowledge base, all of the machine learning and learning keystrokes. Kristen, in one of her sessions, showed you how agents do things, how it's basically learning from information and reacting to the information. We had another session much earlier today, probably more around the 7 or 8 o'clock hour, Eastern Standard Time, and we talked a little bit more about other agents inside of Business Central and some of the general information about that. But that's what agents AI is all about. It's taking all of these things, acting rationally, trying to come up with what should I do or what should I do based on your instructions, and then producing information and or documents to kind of take it to the next level. With that said, enough about me speaking about being Mr. Webster's dictionary here and spitting out AI about what is AI. Let's take it further. So who can tell me or tell everybody on this call today, there are 22 of you on here, how many AI features are in Business Central? And I want you to type in the chat how many features people think are in Business Central today. You've seen some today, so you've gotten a little flavor of it, but how many are truly in Business Central? Go ahead. Yell out a number, type a number. Yep, people are sitting here typing away. There we go. A lot of different figures. Well, guess what? Today, there's 16. I haven't updated my number, but there is 16 and growing. Microsoft is not going to stop. I think Microsoft is going to be AI giddy for the next probably half a dozen years easily. And they're going to be thinking about where could AI interact inside of Business Central, whether it be an agent, which we've heard has more of a price to it, a price tag to it, or whether it be an AI feature that doesn't have a price tag to it. Well, today in our session, we're really going to have a little fun, and we're going to go through all of the agents that are in Business Central today. Now, I definitely will not have time to go through and demo them individually. I will demo a few that I really want you to see, but overall, we're going to have a lot of fun going through the different agents that are in Business Central, and then we're going to have fun demoing them and going through a bunch of them. So without further ado, let's go through this. All right. So what are they? Copilot chat. Now, we've had a lot of great sessions where we done the Copilot chat. I mean, we just had our last one where we were doing various things, asking questions. But Copilot chat is so wicked that you can ask it any question in Business Central and it will spit back an answer. Again, just like you see on the bottom here, how do I release a sales order? Boom, it'll tell you how to release a sales order. Maybe you want to ask it, look at my customers and tell me who owes me so much freaking money, stuff like that. Of course, the freaking part probably won't go over well with Copilot because it's slang, but you obviously get the gist here. I love this one. And if you haven't used this one yet, please go back and try it. It is fun in the sense that you can ask it questions without having to dig deep into your data anymore. How many people have done Ask Copilot? Notice my screen. You see that little symbol at the bottom of the kind of like the whole paragraph there? It says Ask Copilot. You can click Ask Copilot and it takes the information and goes deeper into the bowels of the number field. It'll give you much more information about what it's about, maybe some of the information about how it's used, and it takes you deeper and deeper into the learning of a field. Great way of learning BC on the fly. There's so much coming out of Business Central. You're not going to know everything. So why not just ask Copilot, tell me what this field means. I completely forgot. Autofill. I don't know about you. When I saw this a few years back, I literally almost peed in my pants. This was so cool. I saw these two little stars or little asterisks in a field, and I had no. I thought maybe Microsoft, there was a bug in Business Central. I just didn't know what it meant, and I literally sat there one day and played with it, and I realized those little stars, when you type it and click it, it will go out into the world, into the web, and find information that will fill in other fields on the screen you're on just by filling in an answer. I'll give you an example. I was in a room filled with BC users, and we happened to say, somebody yell out the company they work for. And the person yelled out Land O'Lakes Butter. We typed Land O'Lakes Butter, we hit the little stars, and it filled in the address, the city, the state, a phone number, and a website. It filled in enough information to kind of fill in that customer card because I was going after the name of the customer. How many people have seen Summary? Now, earlier today, there was another one of our instructors here. Yep, thank you. Who showed this one. It was earlier in the early evening time frame. Who showed Summary? Summary to me is a buyer's dream, and let me explain why I call it the buyer's dream. On a customer card, a vendor card, an item card, if I'm going to go buy my inventory from a vendor, I can summarize things about the item itself. I can summarize things about my vendor. It can tell me things like I can ask Copilot, how many times was my vendor late in meeting my expected receipt date? And it will tell me. That's great information. Why? When I go in for my vendor and say, you gave me lost sales 29% of the time. Therefore, you know what? I think a 25% discount on my item is well worth it, stuff like that. But Summary is a great way of buying, being the purchasing person, as well as the customer side, because obviously you're selling to customers. So maybe you can find out information, they're buying so much, maybe you want to raise their prices and whatnot. But a Summary is a great way to look at the actual insights behind the customer, a vendor, or an item. Great place to go to and play with. And again, these are free. Everything I'm showing you so far, there's no cost. It's part of your Business Central license. Go back and play with this. Marketing text. We saw that earlier today as well. To me, marketing text, it's great, but I think I'm going to borrow some of what Kristen talked about. I am kind of on the fence on this one here. It's not that I don't love it. It's that when I think of marketing text and I think of a marketing department, I think of people who come up with great ways to spin an item, how to put it on the website, how to give it all the flair that makes it on the website. Ooh, I love that thing. Now, it gives great information. You can really use it, but I think of a marketing department maybe not using this. I like it. It's fun to play with if you want to have a little fun with yourself and kind of use attributes and try to find things. But if you're not into attributes on item cards and you're not into anything else, it's really you're not going to be justified to use this. So again, if you're not using attributes, don't worry about it. All right. This one is, as an accountant, it's my accountant's dream tool called Copilot. But analyze lists or analyze the information that's inside of Business Central. When you see the analyze ability, go hog wild, people. Just go out there and ask it a question that you truly want to do. If you think of anybody in an accounting department, a controller, a VP, an accounting manager, a bookkeeper, anybody who want to just analyze information that's presented to them, yes, that's my giddy friend right there in that picture in the chat. You're going to go crazy. I could ask it any question like, hey, for the last 6 months, my travel expenses looks like it's gone up about $10,000 a whack each month. Can you please tell me which dimension has been the culprit in making this rise and stuff like that? You can pretty much go nutty here. I want you to try this. I want you to go back. If you're here in the attending and you're an accountant, go back and do it on a general ledger entry table. If you're here because you're touching customers, go and analyze your customers if you want customer ledger entry, and so on and so forth. This is the tool of choice. All right, generator number series. This came out, I would say, about a year ago-ish in one of the waves. I haven't really found a great way to use it, to be brutally honest. It's here. It's kind of funny. It will actually generate a number series for you, depending upon, go out and generate one for a specific action or a specific need that you need one that you forgot to generate. But again, I haven't found a reason to use it because in normal cases, most people who implement BC pretty much have all the proper number series set up before you go live. So the chance of you using this is on the slim to none spectrum, unless your implementer is using this to generate all the different number series. But again, it's like I said, I haven't seen many people use it around the world yet. The payables agent. Yes, you saw a great deep dive by my buddy, my cohort in crime, Kristen, who pretty much deep dived into payables agent. This one, I think of this one as the wave of the future. I think of all the agents as our future. And I know they cost money. I'm not saying, the pricing is perfect. I'm sure Microsoft is going to probably reevaluate the pricing every year as this grows and grows, as the features grow, to be more cost competitive with the apps that are out there that do this. Features will be coming out constantly through the waves, constantly throughout the months of when an update comes out for Business Central. So this is going to be totally feature rich, in my opinion, probably more towards in 2027, where it's going to pretty much be very compatible with our apps that are out there that have been out there for several years, if not a full decade at this point. But if you've never tried it, I highly recommend it. Go into your sandbox, sign up for it, even load the sample invoices and go and start playing with this. It is not hard to implement. It is pretty self-paced and self-explanatory, but go and try this. You can enter an invoice from your insurance companies, enter invoices for your payroll stuff, go in and do a purchase order and do a three-way match. How you enter the bill of lading and everything, or the invoice comes in, it'll do a three-way match. Follow along with the payables agent, see how good it is, and then hopefully, if you like it as much as I do, you'll implement it into production. And again, I think Kristen said it best. I think on average, and I could be off by a couple of cents, but I think a typical invoice is somewhere between that 55 cents and $1, depending upon how many purchase lines there are. So that's pretty much roughly a cost. And to me, that's a great ROI. Why? Because then my employee who does this can only worry about issues and maybe do other things or other tasks that are not related to data entry. Suggest sales lines. I bet you nobody knows about this one. This one to me blew my mind. It literally was so much fun playing with this one when it first came out. It's so much fun even today for me. I literally show all my customers this one because of two reasons. Number one, when you click on Suggest Sales Lines, you can just type what you want the customer wants to buy in it. I don't have to type long sentences. I can just type little information, maybe a description and a quantity, and it gives me the information back. Here's a bonus. Can you imagine sending your customer a predefined file template and say to them, send me this back when you want to order. Drop it in an email, send me back your file. I then click on Suggest Sales Line from a file, ba-boom. The entire data entry is down to uploading a single file. That's it. Can you imagine how much more productive our order entry people would be if all they had to do was type a few keystrokes or upload a file? There'd be all that time would be given back to them. They don't have to sit there and be typing as they're taking orders from people. Go back. We're going to do this demo of this one too. Late payment prediction. I know there's probably not a lot of CFOs or controllers maybe on this phone or accounting managers on the call today, but guess what, guys? Can you imagine if you can predict how poorly your customers pay you today? Can you say nobody pays on time? You'd have to be, I don't know what planet you'd have to be on where somebody's actually paying you on time today. But if your people are not paying you on time, Business Central, free of charge again, this is AI working in the background, can predict based on their payment pattern how bad, how late they're going to be paying you. And I'm talking, people who you have terms of net 30, you get it'll tell you that bill will be paid net 60. That's how ugly it's going to be, and that's how the late payment prediction is going to tell you this information. So something to think about, something to implement down the road, especially if obviously the accounting team wants this. Again, Kristen did the sales order agent. I think you know a lot about this if you've been on our call. a few hours ago. But again, a great tool. Haven't used it much personally. I have not. None of my customers have either. I think it's because customers who fall into the SMB space want to have that personal touch with customers. So having an agent do the work, maybe they're not into that yet. Hopefully, as we grow, as they get larger and they get much more, let's say, bigger in size and bigger and having much more customers, maybe the agent will be employed. But right now, for me, again, I love playing with it, but I haven't really deployed it at any of my customers. Just giving you some insight. Reconcile bank rec. I'm sorry, guys. My bean counting hat is coming out again. I love this one. If you're not using the AI agent in the bank rec, you are losing out. This is a simple, easy setup tool that you can set up. It will input your bank statement for you. It will reconcile based on basically a policy that's built into Business Central in terms of the matching policies and the matching rules and the matching tolerances. And you can just reconcile your bank statement pretty fast here. I like it. I don't think there's been one customer I haven't really taught this to, because it actually does a bank rec in pretty much under 20 minutes. You'd be done with your bank rec, which is unheard of for people who do it manually today that take half hour or more to do a bank rec. MCP, Model Context Protocol. We've heard a lot about this as we've been talking AI all evening about this. But the cool thing, and as you saw with Kristen, she showed you the expense agent. It is the very first agent from Microsoft, the Business Central product team, in which it is using a Model Context Protocol. And it's not built inside of BC, meaning the actual functionality is built outside of BC. So part of it is free to actually submit your expense report, and part of it is inside BC, which is where actually the dollars come into play, where actually as you're processing them in BC, that's where it's using your credits to pay for the cost of using the expense agent. We'll talk a little bit more about this a little later on. And last but not least is the newest one that's come out, where you can define your own agent. I've played with this a few times. It is fun. Now, I'm doing it in Sandbox, understandably so. I'm not doing it in production because obviously there is a cost to this. But I've been having some fun trying to make agents do different things. I've actually asked an agent to go out and reanalyze my mins and maxes. Am I properly doing planning parameters based on historical trends? I've asked it to do things with production orders. I've asked it if a production order is going to be late by 1 week, to please email people that it's going to be late. So I've tried it pretty much a bunch of little simple things, nothing too elaborate, to basically make a crunch for a while, but basic things. I think this is fun to play with if you're in Sandbox. Give it a try, and stuff like that.
Steve, you have a question real quick if you want to stop. You had a question about the can reconcile bank records agent reconciles split transaction lines in BC against the bank statement.
Yeah, so let me make sure my definition of a split transaction line. So are we talking about where the bank has a number, let's say 10,000, and in BC it's made up of 3 lines in the bank check ledger entry, bank ledger entry? Is that what we're talking about, or are we talking something
got
else?
A yes on that from Kylie.
Oh, and that is humanly possible. The coolest thing that finally Business Central can do is it can take a statement that says, I deposited $100,000, which is made up of 10 transactions in Business Central, and it will summarize it and match it based on the rules of the tolerance rules that it has built into the match policies. All right, gang. One last thing. It's my last slide before I go play in the system for a little while, and then we'll come back and wrap up the session as we get closer to midnight. But the key to all this, the key to everything about an agent, and I'm not talking the ones that like the expense agent and the sales order agent, but the key to all of this is you have to tell it you want to use AI. You have to tell it I want to use Copilot and agents to even make it work in Business Central. If you do not go to this page, you're basically not using AI or any of the Copilot, any of the agents. You have to turn each one on individually. Yes, you can see as you go down my little snippet here, you can actually have enable Bing search if you want in the system. You can actually go in and turn on chat and make it active. Now, the billing type is, when it says not billed, it means it's a non-billable AI feature, which is, of course, out of the ones I've gone through, the only four right now that are billable are sales order agent, purchase order agent, expense agent, and the create your own agent. Those are the only ones that require credits that you have to buy in advance through your provider who gives you your subscriptions. All right, enough. Let's demo. Let's have some fun. I'm going to escape this. I'm just going to minimize this for a second, and I'm going to jump right into my demo database, one of my demo databases, and we're going to play a little bit of fun agents. And we're going to bounce around. Let's do the first one. You see up here the Copilot symbol. It's a very, not very colorful, but it is here. If I click on it, that is your main chat with, of course, Copilot. I can come down here and ask it any question I want. I could say, who, sorry, let's do a what customer makes the most sales? It goes out, it will read through the system looking for the answer to my question. If I didn't give it enough information, I will get back a message that says, I can't really figure this out. Can you just give me a little more information? And it will do that. Now, again, it's a very generic question. Again, you could, hopefully it will come back in probably about another 10 seconds, I think, as it's scanning through every customer looking to who obviously makes the most sales. And it should come back, again, normally it's like 60 seconds, sometimes, could be 2 minutes, but again, it comes back with my answer very quickly. It says, hey, look, the highest sales is a company called Kohl's, $5.7 million to date. So it gives me information about my question. It tells me things about the customer card. You could say, look, they owe me money, $1.5 million, 1.3 is overdue. And then this is the sales to date, 5.7 million. And again, you can dig deeper. It's at, do you want to dig deeper? Do you want to dig deeper? You can. Let's move on. We've had enough fun with that one. Let's go have a little fun with a customer card. So we'll go to a customer card here. I'll click new just to put something out here. And again, I'll just take the next. It's asking me again a number here. So I'll give it whatever number I want to assign it. I could come back here and take it from the number series, which is what I'll do. And now I'm into my next customer name. And again, sorry about that, a little clicking happy. So now I'm going to type the word, I'm just going to type, I'm going to type Land O'Lakes. And again, you'll notice my little stars are sitting here, and I'm going to be like, okay, have fun, stars. Go tell me anything you can. So the system is working and reading, again, going out into the internet and finding anything it can about the word Land O'Lakes. And it's giving me a credit limit for them. It's telling me I want to block it. So far, it's filling in some communication about emails, defaults, addresses, and it's listing it up here in the corner. So I can see what it found just by looking at all the information here. I can say keep it or discard it. I can try again. Maybe I didn't like maybe I need to give a better name. Land O'Lakes of, Wisconsin or something. If I say keep selected, it fills all the fields in. And of course, Copilot's following fields were skipped because Business Central set a value instead to blocked. That's because I have a policy that all my customers get blocked until my accounting team reviews the credit limit. But again, any field with a star could potentially be filled in. And you can keep going through all the different fields here. The better, as time goes on, the better your information you provide in the field you're typing in, the better the results will come back. All right, enough with autofill. Let's step back and go have a little more fun. I'm on a customer card. Obviously, I'm going to change over to an item card because I want to show you the item card. I'm going to pick one of my items here that come up. Give my item list is flashing up. I don't know. Let's do the Forever Friends. So I'm going to go to Forever Friends over here. And I'm on my friends. And basically, I can tell it, you know what? Start summarizing everything about my Forever Friend. And it takes about 60 seconds to come back with the data. If you turn this on and you want to, every time you open up an item card, vendor card, or customer card, you can always have the summary literally thinking about it so it can come back while you're sitting there waiting for it. So here it is. It's great information. I've got 27 units on inventory with 13 on sales orders. I'm selling it for a MSRP of $7.75. Maybe it's giving me my costing message. The last time it left the building was on June 24th. And again, it's giving me, you can do show more, which will keep going deeper and deeper into the analysis of this item. It keeps showing you more and more AI generated information about this item here. And that's pretty cool. Robbie, go ahead.
Question in the chat, when you get a break around data leakage, when you turn Copilot on, is there a concern about an increase in risk of losing your data, specifically outside your geographic region?
Is this more about theft of the data, or are we talking where somebody, as I turn Copilot on, I'm going to basically exposing myself to what's the word?
As the question reads, I would say exposing as opposed to theft.
I would say the answer currently is no. From what I understand from Microsoft, I think this question actually came up in one of the MVP sessions that were with Microsoft about this. The Copilot that I'm running is strictly inside of my tenant and my environment. So it is held in there and it doesn't get leaked out into the outside world, meaning I'm not exposing this data to any third parties or any outside folks. I mean, that's different from me sending it to somebody personally, but I'm not exposing it to any privacy issues or leakage at the moment, risk-wise. Privacy, I mean, I think that's more of a company policy in terms of who should do it, permission-wise, what users should be allowed to touch this versus ones that should not. Hopefully I answered your question, Kylie. While I'm on here, let's have a little fun. I love this one here because I think it's funny as heck. I'm going to actually let it draft me something in a marketing statement. Plastic memories never fade. Celebrate your DD 4x6 forever friends, where discontinued means everlasting. Woo, that one, I'm telling you, that's a Hallmark card, Bobby. I don't know, guys. I'm thinking I'm generating some Hallmark here. A good movie's coming out. I'm going to need some actors to play these positions. You know what? This tone was a little, boring. I think I wanted to be creative, and I wanted to do something a little more creative. Plastic pals forever. That's it. There you go. We're never forgotten. So again, a lot of this is based on the attributes. Again, I don't have many attributes out here, so therefore my marketing text is pretty plain Jane, I'm going to call it. And again, I can keep it, or of course I can cancel it, which I will cancel it. One thing to note, of course, even though I have summarize up here, you can see I have forecast. AI can generate or suggest me a forecast. If I wanted to, I can actually go in and let it talk to me and tell me what it thinks my forecast should be. So that's another way of looking at it as well. Let's step off this, and we've had a little fun here. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to pick a GL account, go into my chart of accounts. I'm just going to scroll somewhere, and I'm going to pick some GL account. Let's pick, I don't know, sales discounts. And we go into sales discounts, and we see we've got a lot of entries here in the system. Let's widen this up, and I'm going to pick my favorite friend here, and let's analyze this. And I'm going to be, okay, I'm going to say to it, basically, which invoice generated the largest sales discount? And I'm going to say, go ahead and tell me. It'll go through, and of course it'll come back hopefully with the correct answer. Obviously my question is pretty generic in nature, but I could make it more complex, and it will come back with a nice pivot table showing me, of course, my information. That's who has the largest one. And it's supposed to show me 3 people, but I guess it's being a little slow in its answer to come back with the document number, but it does say I have 3. I don't know where my 3 went, but it's not showing up here. So I have to apologize for Business Central being a little flaky at the moment, but it would have come back to give me that information. After analyze list, I'm going to show you some really fun stuff. Let's go into a sales order. Now, this one made me giddy. You heard me tell you it makes me giddy and makes me laugh hysterically, and it does. I'm just going to come in here and make a quick sales order to one of my customers. And I'm just going to come down and type, I'm just going to type Kohl's. Since we've been using Kohl's a lot, let's just use Kohl's anyway. And Kohl's is on here. I'm going to go into the line section. Let's widen this up so everybody can see what I'm about to do. I have the Copilot symbol sitting here. I'm going to, again, let's just type it. And now I'm just going to, I'm on the phone. I'm in like a bullpen, basically with a bunch of order takers. And I'm basically got my headset on and the person says, oh, okay, right. 10 Forever Friends. Spelling does count, guys. 10 Forever Friends. I want 20 Love Matted. Got it. And I want, oh, was that 30 what? Oh, hold the phone. Got it. Yeah, I think that's a cool frame. No problem, buddy. I could fix my spelling. Let me just fix my spelling here and put a comma there. Generate. Now, that typing took me a few, under 30 seconds, I'm sure, if I did it right. Wow. Look at that. It found the inventory item. It knows the quantity I just asked for. I can add more to this. I can certainly discard this. I can go add more if I want. I can say insert. And basically, it processes my lines right into my sales order. Guys, think about that. How fast was that while I was on the phone? All I typed was quantity and a few descriptive words to come up with the item. If I gave them a file, can you imagine them emailing back a file and they wanted 100 items on it? I could have uploaded the file using the file choice here, and I uploaded in a file. Unbelievable. All right. We've had a lot of fun doing these different types of AI features inside of Copilot features inside of Business Central. I know we've got about another 20-ish minutes left before the top of the hour, and I want to be aware, obviously, of the groups that's coming and closing here. Let's do one more demo, and then let's go back to our slides to finish up the day. For now, this is where late payment prediction resides. There is nothing here because I actually just turned it off. If you click on it, it's not going to show me anything. It's just telling me, here are my bills, but you'll notice all the way over here, and I did load this right before we had this demo. But basically, everything in here would have been loaded, and it would have told me if any one of these bills are going to be coming in late. I turned it off prior to our demonstration this evening, only because it does take a lot of, the job has to run. It takes a few hours to run through the overnight, so I just didn't want to do that. But it's available to people, and it would tell you which of those customer ledger entries, which one will be late and how late it will be. The other thing, thanks, Kylie, for putting that out there, the privacy policy snippet that she took. She put something out there about the privacy policy is turned off for her organization. And again, she's giving all the text of the OpenAI by using it. She's telling about the services and the data sharing and things like that. I'm not an expert at this. I only know the last thing I remember, in that, it's kept private in the sense that it's inside of your tenant. It's the data, whether I share the data or not is up to me from what I understand. But it's important to know that if I do expose or send out the data to a third party, yes, I am exposing it. So that's about as much as I know about it, but it is private within inside of my tenant. That's as far as I go. But I'd say probably Googling it might be better than my answer. All right, we've gone through a whole bunch of places inside of Business Central, but what we haven't gone yet is talked about some of the more complex ones. And again, as you know, the bank rec one, the bank rec one is out here. And again, you can certainly come here and I can click reconcile, which will start reconciling my statements that I have out here. I certainly could open up a bank rec right here And obviously I can click reconcile right here, which would open it up and tell the system to import the bank statement, reconcile and match everything, come back with matching, and then of course post any differences to the general ledger and then clean it up. One way of looking at it, if I did this through the reconcile, which I cannot do because this one is actually already done, so it's not going to do it again. But for all intents and purposes, whatever differences I come up with, I can always transfer them to the general ledger and it'll post the transactions that are missing if I did not clear it through my entries that have already been made here. All right, gang, I am going to return to my PowerPoint. We're going to pick up right there where we left off. The payables agent. Now, Kristen went through this in great detail and in the demo that she did in the time she had allotted. One of the things I like to emphasize is the fact that this is an ever-growing agent, meaning more features will be coming out as time passes. For instance, right now, I can source the invoice that comes in. I can start identifying fraudulent invoices based on setting up a couple of rules. I can do end-to-end invoice processing. I can certainly help the AP team focus on bulk processing, simple just sending things into a common email address. I can certainly go through three-way matching, purchase order processing, the three-way match, which is very important. I can approve anything if I need a workflow approval to get things workflowed and approved. And hopefully the future lies when it comes to the actual payment of this. Where it goes, we're not exactly sure yet, but my prediction is this is going to be a very nice AP automation, possibly payment processing, and where I maybe send my payment out to a third party to process my payment, like a bank or something. But again, that is an unknown. I mean, it's a wish of mine. I would love to see it go end to end and just do every facet of AP automation and payment processing. Couple of the screenshots here. Whoa, give me a second here, gang. Couple of updates here to show you. You saw Kristen bring in her messages from her vendor, and certainly she can review them. It does create new vendors on the fly, gang. If an email comes in from a vendor it does not have in BC, it will ask you, would you like to create this new vendor? And you can certainly acknowledge that. You can certainly look at the actual invoice in draft mode. So here's the invoice that came in. Here's the posting that it will take place. You can validate it if you want and take it further to, if you don't want to validate, you can certainly have more automation. And again, various tasks. It's always updating you that an invoice has been processed, so you don't have to worry about, shoot, did I do this one yet? Did the agent get to this one yet? It's always telling you when things are processed and at what stage it is at. And of course, the three-way match is most important. That's the one that made me happy, because obviously now I can look at the line items and compare them to the matching. Was it received? Was it not? If it was received or not received, and I can match it up to the invoice accordingly. Sales order agent. Kristen showed you a little bit about this one here. Again, it's not that I'm not a fan of it. I think it's a great thing. I think I'm waiting for my first customer to actually use it. So for me, it's going to be fun to finally actually implement it and actually use it versus me doing it in a demo database. Because, I mean, for me, it's like, okay, I know what it does, but I really want to see it in action. I want to see somebody actually physically use it and make use of it. This little chart that I have here is the actual flow of the agent. This is how the agent's brain thinks. So if you're wondering like what the agent does or where it goes and how it thinks, this is the flow of the agent, of how it reacts to requests, how it thinks about the request. Where does it go about the request? And again, always remember something here. This agent, even though it's part of you, think of an agent as another arm on your body, and it's going to actually work with you. So if it needs confirmation, it's going to wait for you to confirm something. If you told it, no, you don't have to confirm, it won't confirm. But the point here is the agent has to go through and do actions based on confirmations and review. Again, the agents can become a little more self-sufficient and not go through a confirmation process if you don't want, but that's up to you and how you kind of automate your agent through its learning process. The reconcile bank rec. I wanted to show you this in pictorial form because this is one I just did recently in that demo database. So I wanted to show you the flow. You saw me go to the bank rec screen. You saw me click the word reconcile. When the reconcile with Copilot opens up, it's basically going to perform the reconciliation against the bank I'm on. It's going to import the transactions from my bank statement that I've linked into my linking process using the Yodlee link. So it goes out, it brings in the information. You can see it on the bottom left. It's basically pulling all of the transactions in, whether it be a single transaction. It tells you if multiple entries are being applied to this. Hence the question that was asked earlier, can it bring in a $100,000 deposit and know it came from 13 different individual deposits? And yes, it can. It'll tell you it's part of multiple entries. It will go through reading through each line and coming up with how many of those lines have been 100% matched and how many of them have not been a match. And you can see in my results, 10 of 10 lines were 100% matched, adding it to the bank rec. And of course, in the bank rec, I had 2 entries that were left over at the very bottom after the matching process that said one was called fuel stop, which was a transaction that got direct debited. I went to get some gas, and the next was an interest from the bank. And obviously those things I probably forgot to post in my payment journals. So therefore I can transfer that right to the general journal page. And I'm telling it where to go, the general template with the default journal, and I will post those and it will self-reconcile on post in that general journal. So not only am I going to transact it, tell it what the balancing account is, it will also go back to the bank rec and clear it when I post that entry. Now, I know Kristen had a blast showing you the expense agent. I think she was way too giddy on this one here. So I'm going to break out the popcorn one more time because I really want you to realize where this is headed. So this autonomous Copilot agent is going to do everything you see on this slide. This is the future of the expense agent. Not all of this is active at the moment, especially you can look at some of these things and you're going to say to yourself, well, that's not true yet. So it's going to actually try to do payment processing, actually pay the expense report through a payment processing feature that they haven't built yet. It will send reimbursement emails. It will also go through an entire process where potentially it might look at and bring in credit card stuff from a credit card account. Like let's say I have a corporate credit card and I want to bring in those to do some matching process. So there are so many features that it's thinking about here. Match and reconcile expenses with a credit card feed. Again, in the future, not yet, coming down the road. But if you think about everything listed here, this is your typical expense reporting software. I mean, but it's all going to be inside of the autonomous agent as well as processing through the Business Central side. So some will be done outside in the Copilot world, and some will be done inside of Business Central in the future. But think about this. This is the wave of the future. I can see hopefully this will take a few years to kind of get through all of it. But boy, let me tell you, we are on a great ride for the expense agent and seeing how powerful it's going to become. If you're curious, I know Kristen showed you a little bit about this, but this is how it works in my demo database. I can drag and drop my pictures, my PDFs into my receipts. So here I'm putting it on my phone and I actually bring in some receipts using the PDF. It actually gets put into a queue saying it's got all these receipts and it's processing those receipts as we speak. You do have itemization. So the bigger the receipt, the more itemization it's going to go have in terms of detailing out how I'm going to calculate that expense and what am I going to do with it. You know, if I have a huge airline receipt or, for that, or maybe I've got a small Uber receipt, that's a simple email receipt that comes in, again, it can all be brought in through the system and basically put on your expense reports so it can go through the detail and the itemization. But now what else can I do? And I can use my phone, and my phone has been a blast playing with this. I've got into a place, I was traveling and I went into the burrito bar and I took that receipt I found in my drawer. I have some old receipts here and I threw that out there regardless of the year, but I took that screenshot and I said, hey, snap this in. It basically goes through the system. It says, here's a receipt. I found it. It tells me, it sends me an email message. Hi, Steve. You have expenses that are ready for to submit, and it tells me what's going on, how many expenses, and I can review and approve them. Obviously, when I submit this for approval, my approver also will get a copy of everything saying to please approve my expense report. And when I'm finally reimbursed, meaning when that gets posted into Business Central and it's being paid, that expense report, I'll get an email telling me it's been reimbursed and sent back to me saying my expense report number, blah, 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 was reimbursed for X dollars. And again, you can see all this inside of Business Central as you open up your expense screen. Again, if somebody has access to Business Central, but you can see this inside of BC, what has been submitted, what has not been submitted, what has been released, and what is pending. And you can see all that in the fact box as well as on the page. I know for a fact as they're really thinking about this, because remember, the phone side of this, the actual getting my expenses to BC is free, meaning the users that do this in the phone and also in the in the website can submit things for free, no cost to them. When BC processes them, that's when you start getting your credits clicked as it's processing various expense reports. On average, we've asked the question, how much is a typical expense report? And a lot of people tell me, from at least Microsoft's perspective, that an expense report, depending on how many documents you're processing on the expense report, again, it's somewhere in that range of that 50 cents to $1, depending upon how many documents you're pushing through. I think it's, again, it's gray for now, because obviously until they get a lot of statistics, they probably don't know the exact number, but on average, if you had to do some calculations, that's the number. This one here I threw out here because I know we're getting close to the end. We have about 6 more minutes ish, and I'll run a little over because I started a little late. But this was the fun stuff I started to do. I really wanted to say to AI, what can you do for me? Like, how far can I take this without being charged any money? How far could I use Copilot inside of Business Central and have some fun with it? So I started off with the sales and inventory forecasting side, and I said, hey, Copilot, analyze my past sales, and look at any trends and predict what my future demand will be based on my past sales history, and please suggest a reorder point and possibly maybe a replenishment order to avoid a stock out. And it came back and gave me information. I used AI for some cash flow projections, like, okay, all the bills I owe, all the cash receipts I'm supposed to be getting in. Please tell me, what kind of disbursements, what's my cash projections looking like for the next 30 days, and telling my inflows and my outflows. I know somebody talked about the image analyzer earlier today in the early evening part. I have only used it a few times. Because it's one of those things that, it's either it works or it doesn't work. I truly believe that. If I put a coffee pot out there, it probably would figure out it's a coffee pot, and maybe some other. If I put a Coca-Cola can, I'm sure it's going to figure out it's Coca-Cola and come up with all the right information. It's fun to play with. I still haven't figured out if I would use it on a day-to-day basis, because I believe organizations have marketing departments and they kind of use other tools to come up with how to look at my item and come up with what the attributes and other things will be. It's a great tool for people, small businesses who don't have that luxury of having a department, but it's a great tool to use because it doesn't cost you any money. Last but not least, I mention this only because the forecasting system in Business Central, as you know, is pretty light. It's not advanced. It doesn't really go crazy. And there are apps out there, and I'm saying this truthfully and honestly, there are apps out there that truly understand how to take the forecasting to the next level and really understand like allocations and basically additional reporting when it comes to the algorithms or planning parameters like safety stocks and reorder points, and really tell you how to push a proper forecast to the future. So if you're one that wants to play with AI and see how far you could take it, it's great. if you do apply apps that kind of enhance your forecasting, it's going to be that much more impressive, because most of the apps out there that are applying AI to their apps as well. So you're only going to get a better understanding of your business and a true analysis of it, and update your information on a continuous basis. So you see my little picture here. I actually asked it to look at the last 12 months and to predict my 2026 forecast with a 1% increase. And it created my 2026 forecast for me pretty much automatically. And it inserted it, it created it by item, and it was done. Copilot did it all for me. I didn't have to do a single thing. I didn't have to click new. I didn't have to do any copying. I didn't have to export it to Excel and I just told Copilot to do its job, and it did. I'm still going to keep playing. I'm still going to push the envelope. But I'm telling you guys, these are the fun things. I know we're basically pretty close to the midnight. I will open it up to questions. If you've got questions, unmute yourself or type it in the chat. I'm not looking at the chat. I'm actually looking at the slides right now, but feel free to just unmute and say any questions more that you have. While you're typing or doing anything, and I'll step off my slides in a second, I want to leave you with 2 things to take home and 2 things I want you to do. And do me a favor and please do these. Number 1, I want you to learn about Copilot features in Business Central. I want you to go and I want you to really play with what you just learned tonight. 2, I want you to think about where your company's going with Copilot. Most organizations do, with Copilot being on the horizon for all of us, most companies get together and they talk about a corporate strategy related to Copilot. You should think about that. I mean, we heard about, security. We talk about, we don't want to have, leakage and anything like that. So definitely talk about it from a strategy standpoint. And last but not least, I want you to take everything you learned from me and I want you to go back and play with it. Test Copilot. It's free. The agents are not, but in Sandbox they are. So please go try the agents in Sandbox, or play with any of the features I just taught you in your production site or even in Sandbox. You will learn how to use Copilot to your advantage to make your job easier. Now, I had a lot of talking. I did a lot of showing and a telling. And a lot of it you probably will remember, some of it you won't. But this QR code takes you to a site that basically takes all of the information I did and gives you each of the different Copilot features, and it's a little snippet on each. It's kind of like I can click on each individually and kind of go to and see them in action, in a little snippet video and demo. It's a great way to relearn it, and you don't have to memorize my slides. You don't have to memorize, maybe you've got notes, but here's an easy way of getting to it. A colleague of mine, we've been doing this, we set this up about almost on 1 year. We set it up last fall, and we kind of built out this little thing, and basically it's a great place to go to kind of learn more about all the Copilot activities in Business Central. And with that said, I will leave you with my big thank you as always, and my email address if you need to get a hold of me to answer questions, find me, help you out, or anything like that. I'll leave it on the screen. I'll hit escape, and that way I'll just leave this here. But if there are any questions, drop them in the different chat. I'm just scrolling up and down on it right now. And pretty much that is it. I think that's the last. Most of them were generic questions in nature. So a big thank you, everybody. Beau, thanks a lot. I know Bobby's on hold. So it was fun.
Steve, you nailed it. Really good job. I think we kind of interrupted you to ask the questions, so I don't know that the audience has any further questions. Really great job, honestly. Please send us your slide deck. We'll make sure to distribute these and then kind of split off the recording and make sure that's on our YouTube channel, or the DUG YouTube channel rather. But yeah, if you're still awake and don't have your alarm set quite yet, please join us on the other link. The keynote is about to kick off for round 3.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.